What's up, everybody? This is Jack from Crypto 49er, bringing you my knowledge in cryptocurrency. Today, I want to talk about what is Ledger Live. Ledger Live is simply the UI, the brand new interface for both the Ledger Nano S and also the Ledger Blue, which they are no longer selling to the general market. I think the Ledger Blue will just be catered to enterprise customers. So for people who don't know what the Ledger Nano S is, this is a picture of the Ledger Nano S. It's a hardware wallet designed to store your cryptocurrency safely. Because the private key is never sent to your computer, unless you do it yourself manually via the 24-word passphrase that you're not supposed to store on any computers. Anyway, today I'm going to show you the setup process for the Ledger Live. So once you download the software, like I did here, they'll just ask you what you're doing, initializing a new device or restoring a Ledger device from a 24-word passphrase, or use a device that's already initialized. And that's the case for me, so I selected this. And then from here, they'll ask you which device you're using, either Ledger Nano S or Ledger Blue. These are only two hardware wallets that are supported by Ledger Live. So once you do that, they'll ask you to go through the security checklist, whether you typed in the PIN code yourself, and you saved your recovery phrase. And then they'll go through the process to check if your Ledger device is genuine. And the process is simply disconnecting your Ledger Nano S. And then if it's not currently in the dashboard, you have to navigate back to the dashboard on the device. And then after that, it'll send you a prompt saying allow Ledger Manager on your device. And that's basically it. I mean, I think that, this should say allow Ledger Live on your device, but it's not a big deal. So next thing is, once that's done, you get a little check mark saying your device is genuine. You click continue, and then say, hey, your device is all set up. I might skip the few screenshots in here, but it's generally relatively painless, this setup process for the device. So the next thing is you get this prompt saying that you trade safely, and saying that you have to educate yourself regarding crypto. I mean, it's pretty much obvious to most people, I believe, So anyway, once you click through this prompt, you have the option to add accounts. Basically, you're adding accounts for each of the cryptos that you have stored on the Ledger Nano S, so that you can see what your balance is for each of these cryptos. So first thing I did, obviously, add Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure most people would have some Bitcoin. So I gone through the add account process, and then they'll ask you to unlock your Ledger device again, and now you have to open the Bitcoin app so that the Ledger Live app can pull out your balance to see how much balance you have. Once you open the Bitcoin app, it'll go scan through all the different Bitcoin accounts that you have on the app. So I had a legacy account before SegWit, and then I have another account right here, and it shows you a balance right here, which I hide it. So then there's an option to add another account, which probably didn't have any balance, or you can add a new account altogether. These are the existing accounts. Again, there's Bitcoin 1 legacy, Bitcoin 1, Bitcoin 2. So I unchecked this box and added Bitcoin 1. I also renamed it so it's not Bitcoin 1. It sounded a little weird. Just need to add it as Bitcoin. And then say confirmation. You have successfully added your account to your portfolio. Very simple, very straightforward, very easy to understand. So once you added one of your first accounts, it'll bring you to the portfolio menu right here. It'll show you how much you have. I have hidden that amount right here, and then it'll tell you how much you added in the past month and what's your total balance in the graph right here. I'm sure this is a lot more exciting, a lot more joyful to see during December of last year when everything was just spiking and rocketing to the moon. Right now, it's almost sad to see if you don't, you probably don't want to even look at it in a sense, but this is what it shows right now in the portfolio view. And then you scroll down to the bottom under the account section, you can see all the transactions they have done, and then you see that all the send receive dates, so on and so forth. So, and then on the right hand side, which I hide, is all the amount. And if you could click on each of these transactions, they'll tell you all the information, including seeing it on the Blockchain Explorer. So that's very useful. A lot of this information is already available in the old version of the apps that you needed to use to access your Ledger Nano S, but it's just much nicer to have everything in one place. So next time we'll cover is all these different options you have right here on the left hand side: the send, receive, manager, and exchanges. So let's go on here. The next thing is the send. So the send function is really almost exactly the same as previously, the Chrome apps that you have to use to access the Ledger Nano S. So it just looks a lot nicer. If you click on the network fees, you have the option again, same thing as previously, to change the different fees. I think in the Chrome apps, I remember the high, standard, and low network fees were basically the same, or sometimes they were basically the same. So it didn't make sense to me. At least now it seems like there is a difference. And obviously the most important thing is the custom. You could put in as low fee as possible. Although I haven't tested this yet. I know the previous version, when I put in a custom fee that's very low, it just wouldn't send at all. Which, yeah, I mean, what's the point of putting a really low fee if you can't send it, right? Because right now, the mempool should be really low, and there shouldn't really be any massive network traffic going on for Bitcoin. But hey, I mean, so it would be nice to be able to send the custom fees properly, but I will test that later on and report back if I have any issues with this. So now we're on the Receive tab. In the Receive tab, you just go through and click on the account you want to receive it on, and then show you the QR code, and then also your Bitcoin address in this case. And then you want to make sure that this matches up to what you see on your Ledger Nano S, so that there's no man-in-the-middle attack where someone actually hacked your computer and modify what you're seeing on your screen, on your computer screen. Because the most important thing is, whenever each transaction you do, you're making sure that this is exactly the same. The addresses that you're sending or receiving from is exactly what you see on the Ledger Nano S, not what you see on the screen. So now on the Manager tab. So on the Manager tab is pretty much similar to, again, the Ledger Manager software. Okay, this is a reminder on what it looked like previously. So previously, this is the old apps that you have to use. You have the Ledger apps. You have both the wallet apps and management apps. So you have both the Ledger Manager and then you have the Ledger Wallet stuff. So it's wasn't a complete pain, but it was just kind of odd to have to go back and forth between the Ledger Manager and the Ledger wallets for the different wallets. I didn't really have to access Ledger Wallet Ethereum separately and Ledger Wallet Ripple separately. I just remember you can access Ledger Wallet Bitcoin and altcoins, and from this wallet here you can access all the altcoins as well. So I'm not even sure why the Ethereum and Ripple wallet apps exist. So for me, my past experience was basically using the Ledger Manager and the Ledger Wallet Bitcoin and altcoin apps. There's two apps in here. So now there's one app and everything is inside Ledger Live, which is much nicer looking. And I'm sure this is where you can also install new firmware for your Ledger Nano S. And from here you can scroll down to the different apps that they support. There's a whole bunch of different ones. Still would be nice if they actually can show you here which apps you currently have already installed on your Ledger Nano S, instead of just telling you that you can still install Bitcoin even though you already, for my case anyway, I already have Bitcoin installed already. So it doesn't make sense for it to show install again. It should at least show that it's already installed or something along those lines. But anyway, on the Exchanges tab. So the Exchanges tab just shows you the different exchanges that they recommend. Some of these exchanges might not be available in your country. So not sure how these exchanges got on here. Probably they had some deal with Ledger as a promotional deal for them to, give Ledger some amount of money to have them listed over here on this site, on this part of the app. So now we'll cover these two icons right here, the little gear wheel, that's the settings icon, and the little lock button right here. So on the gear wheel, if you click on the gear wheel, you get into the settings menu, and they just give you general settings on the general page, like count value, what you convert the currency to. You can change it from US dollar to anything, to your native fiat currency. And then the rate provider is their current exchange rate based on the exchanges that they have supported. So I didn't see Binance in here. I mean, I could have missed it. So there was a lot of different exchanges. And the system language, you could use the system language, or you could select your own language. And the password lock, this is pretty important. When you first set up the app, there is an option to set up your own password. So I definitely did it just because you can make sure that even if someone have access to your computer, they can't access Ledger Live without the password. So that's pretty good. So the next thing is in the currency section, they have for each currency there's different settings, like number of confirmations required for a transaction to be confirmed. For Bitcoin, it's currently set at 2. I would set this a little higher, but the default is at 2. And I think each currency has different settings. So under the About page, this tells you the information about Ledger Live, like this is Ledger Live 1.01, and you click on the details section, it'll tell you actually what changes were made in Ledger Live 1.01. It'll tell you that they fixed the bug for ETC, which is pretty nice because not a lot of software let you do this. A lot of software will actually require you to go onto the website to actually see these release notes. So this is pretty nice. So and the last thing is under the help section, you can clear the cache if you're having synchronization with blockchain, similar to what you can do in OApps. And if you click on the reset Ledger Live, it'll erase everything on your computer for Ledger Live, and you have to basically re-import all your accounts. If you just want to somehow delete the whole entire app, you'll make sure you delete it properly. You probably want to reset this first and then delete the app. So that's basically it. So one of the things is that obviously that lock button I was talking about earlier on the top right corner, once you click on it, it'll just lock the app and you just have to type in your password in order to continue. So one of the things is I added Ethereum after I went through the setup process, and having Ethereum is great, but then there's no access to ERC20, and that's where the issues comes in. So I mean, let's just go over the pros and cons. So the pros is this: a single app to manage Ledger apps and send receive cryptos. So I mean, this is a single app that you can now use to manage all the Ledger apps on your Ledger Nano S. So this is a lot nicer than having two separate apps, as I mentioned before. And you can now see the balance of the supported cryptos without plugging in your Ledger Nano S. So again, this is a very nice feature if the crypto market is exploding right now, but it's not. So I mean, it's nice to see, but it's not a wow factor right now considering that crypto is going down. So the third thing is additional password to restrict unauthorized access to your current balance. That's nice, good to have. And now here are the cons. So as I mentioned a minute ago, you can't see the balance for the ERC20 tokens. So if you have any ERC20 tokens, it's basically not included in the app. You can't see it, and obviously if you can't see it, you can't transfer them. And it's just basically, it takes away a good portion. If you have a lot of investments in ERC20 tokens, this is basically almost useless. I mean, it's useless to you. You still have to rely on my Ether wallet or my crypto wallet, whatever it is, all these other different third parties that actually support the Ledger Nano S, and you have to access and you have to see your ERC20 tokens that way, hoping that those sites are not hacked, which often happens. And then the last thing is the technical data must be sent to Ledger to use the app. So this was kind of annoying, at least when I first was installing it. I actually didn't take the screenshot when I was first installing it, but this is one of the screenshots that someone else took, and this is during the setup process. It says technical data. Ledger will automatically collect technical information to get basic feedback on usage. This information is anonymous and does not contain personal data. And it's already checked off and it's grayed out. You can't uncheck it. So it's kind of annoying in that sense that, why show it if you can't uncheck this, So I'm guessing this is probably one of those requirements by the European Union's GDPR regulations. I'm guessing why they have to show and tell you this, even though why bother giving it, a checkbox? Just leave it at the bottom saying that technical data has to be sent out, and you can't, and not even leave a checkbox on this. So there's a thread on the Ledger Reddit page discussing this. It's like Ledger Live collects information about your consent. It's more like, it's they are pretty transparent about it. So, but overall, if you read through what is said by this Ledger CEO, what he stated is that the Chrome apps actually collected more information than Ledger Live does. So if that's the case, then this is really a non-issue. It's because, if you have a choice, if you have been using a Ledger Nano S, you actually have been giving them more data than you will be now if you're using Ledger Live. At least that is the assumption, as long as you believe what the CEO said. So, but really, there's really no choice, right? If you don't want to use this Ledger Live, you end up using the Chrome apps, and you're just giving out more information anyways. So there's really no way about it, and you really shouldn't be worrying about it too much. So the bottom line is this: Ledger Live makes the Ledger Nano S much more easier to use than the previous two app setup, the Manager and the Wallet app. The requirement to send technical data is a non-issue for all but the most paranoid. For those, they shouldn't be using hardware wallets and probably should have an offline Linux setup following the Glacier protocol. So the Glacier protocol, for people that don't know, is a step-by-step protocol on how to store Bitcoin, specifically designed for Bitcoin. You probably can do for other cryptocurrencies as well. But yeah, it's a pretty long process. I haven't gotten around to do this yet. I've been saying that I will, but I just haven't. There's a lot of steps involved. It's not hard to understand, but it's very tedious is probably the best way to describe it. But again, I mean, if you have a lot of cryptos, this is probably one of those things that you want to do. So the real issue is the current lack of ERC20 support. That makes this a nice UI upgrade, but not much more. So that's my video for today, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. Like and subscribe. If it isn't crypto, it isn't worth mining, it isn't worth speculating. Peace out.